The last video we talked about adding expansion modules to your PLC, but how do you actually know how many modules you need and what kind of expansion modules you need? You could just start building a project and every time you have a new thing that needs to get controlled, you could be like, oh yeah, how am I going to control that? That's not really sustainable for super big, complicated projects like the one we're trying to build. Most of the time while you're designing the electronics for your project, you want to start with something called an I/O list, and you basically need tag name, description, and I/O type for every signal that you're going to need control or monitoring for in your project. So for the fielder's choice in particular, I just start by kind of making up tag names and have them grouped by subsection of my project. And then I list out whether they're digital inputs or digital outputs. Fortunately, in this project, I don't really need any analog inputs or outputs, and I use Qs instead of Os for outputs, which is industry standard. The linear actuator axis is going to need one output to tell it when it's time to start moving either direction, and then a second output that's going to tell it which direction to go. The rotary axis is going to need one to tell it to start moving, and then a second output to tell it which direction to go in. And then because this could turn in 360 degrees, but I don't want to allow that, I'm going to put proximity sensors at the limits. So that'll be 2 digital outputs and 2 digital inputs. Then the pitching machine itself will need 1 digital output so we can switch the actual wheel on and off. And then we're going to have a digital input tell us when there's a ball in place, and then a digital output that tells us to release 1 ball at a time to go into the pitching machine. And then so you can tell a bunch of statuses from anywhere on the baseball field, we're going to add a stack light that has a green, yellow, and red digital output. So all in all, the I/O list is a really useful way to get total signals and get them all organized and ready to program.